Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. Today I'm joined by...
I'm Ted.
And I'm Dave.
I guess I should say that I'm Ryan, but you guys probably know that already. So we're going to be talking about a monster of prestige here, the Grell. It's a giant bulbous brain with a beak and floating tentacles. That can be found on page 172 of your trusty monster manual.
He was actually looking in the book. He wasn't just sticking his head in my lap for no reason.
No reason at all.
It'd be weird. We're brothers.
We're related. That'd be kind of strange.
All right. So the cool things about the Grell, is I'm fond of aberrations because they're weird, freaky stuff. So players don't always know how to deal with that. And as Ryan said, it's a floating brain with tentacles. So the useful things about that, it floats, it hovers. So feel free to use whatever kind of ground traps you want on your players when you got one of these guys.
This guy don't care about it.
Because he's not going to touch the ground.
He's like a honey badger of not giving a crap about
it likes to hide and, wait for the players to deal with larger adversaries and be able to pick off stragglers. So this would be a great monster to use in conjunction with something else because it's not going to attack anything large. It's medium. And therefore, if the players are occupied with something else, you could totally have the melee characters in this thing's, in the other creature's, face, and it comes down to attack your mage. It's a great ambush monster for that situation, and it totally fits within the Grell's mindset.
Well, and the Grell, they're intelligent. They're above average intelligence. They have a 12.
Right.
So they're not dumb. They have their own language. They speak Grell, and in addition to that, like they're immunity to being prone or blind and lightning.
So put them in like a lightning storm or something like that. An area that has like lots of lightning effects going on. Traps that trigger lightning everywhere.
Yeah. So like I totally from Tabletop Terrors want to steal their idea of using the cockatrice trap of basically the whole floor is rigged that whenever you touch it, it petrifies anyone touching it. So you have to make a saving throw every round, and have them face a coven of Grell or a Grell at the same time. So every round they're making a saving throw, and the Grell don't have to worry about it.
You could even have,
or you could just have the floor be electrified because they don't have to worry about that.
Well, they're not going to touch the floor
to begin. Well, and they're immune to it, so there's that.
But you could totally have. To really muck with the players' heads, you could have the ground be checker patterned, so that you could try and convince them that
make it look like a chessboard.
They're dealing with some sort of chess situation where they're going to try and manipulate these statues while they're fighting this Grell to try and stop this whole petrification effect when it really is just
how much red herring do you want to sort of distract your players and spend all this game time with them trying to figure out a thing that
there's a trap for the DM there.
You're presenting a problem that doesn't exist that they're going to spend time trying to resolve, and then eventually you're going to have to just tell them no. It's like giving somebody a math problem you can't actually solve, like an unsolvable problem. Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of takes a lot of time.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, it's a trap. It's a trap in a trap.
Yes. So
they're immune to lightning. They're immune to blind. They're immune to prone. They have blind sight out to 60 feet, but then they're blind beyond that radius. So something's got to be close for them to be able to understand, for them to be able to observe it. But they know exactly where it is. No one's sneaking up on them.
Well, and also if it's like an area of preternatural darkness, it's like as per the spell or whatever, these guys aren't gonna have a problem, but your players are. Even those with dark vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Grell opens up a lot of opportunities for you to F with the player. And I love the way that they have 3 categories of things. Edible, inedible, great hunters.
Right.
Or great eaters, I'm sorry. So,
the great eaters are the things that will eat them and they just stay away from it, as best as possible. Inedible means it's either too big or not worth its time, so it's not going to try and eat it. And anything else that's, small enough and single, solitary, that's prime choice for them, they're going to eat it. Or try to.
Right, or a group of them will take it down because they'll hang out as a hunting party. Yeah, this and that.
So we've already listed like ways to use it in an encounter, which kind of like to basically f with your players. Any kind of lightning damage, any kind of traps or anything touching the ground, anything that limits your ability to see. All of that is going to give the advantage.
Oh man, if you had a magical area of a room that essentially had 0 gravity, because it has levitation, so it can just control where it's moving. But the players, like you could come up with some mechanic where like their motion just kind of sets them to stay in motion, type of thing. Like maybe you roll like a d12 to determine, because you're now talking about 360 degrees.
Right.
Yeah. So it'd be a little tricky, but it'd be kind of interesting to have the players have to like float around while the Grell's just like attacking them.
Well, that and anything like if they're climbing or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a good place to mess with them.
You can mess with them. But what about story-wise? Like, I like the Grell just because they look really interesting. Mm. They're intelligent. In previous editions, they actually had an apparition book, and they had a section dedicated to them, and it would talk about how the Grell would use magic items like wands and rings and amulets and stuff like that. So there's definitely possibilities there. They're smart enough to actually congregate together in covens at times. So,
what would we have them do? Like, what is the Grell agenda?
What is the Grell agenda?
All right. Well, since they're intelligent, since they occasionally could, hunt together, is it possible that they could totally have, some.
Well, it's not that they hunt together; they form a group.
Right.
So it's a little bit more intricate than that. I would think.
Could they possibly have, some kind of society somewhere in the Underdark? Could there be, for lack of a better word, a Grell city?
Well, and that's what I mean. That would be really interesting. Much like the Beholders, they're not going to really have to hold to any kind of orientation,
right?
As far as how the structures are built, if they even have structures. And then again, like, what does that society look like? They have the ability, they have a paralytic attack as well, and they usually carry off prey. Mm-hmm. So, but maybe if they have a city somewhere, they require slaves.
Take slaves. So I see them as like, illithids probably see them as a delicacy, the Grell, because they're a giant brain. What do illithids like more than tasty brain? So I feel like it's like the sort of caviar of the illithid society. So they could be also hunted for food, by the greater hunter.
Well, that's true. Like, illithids could basically enslave them and basically keep them like cattle. Mm. Although they're kind of like, they're a little bit tricky as far as cattle go, but they're illithids. They can get away with it.
Yeah. You just build nice cages. That'll do the trick.
It creates a way for you to have conflict with the Grell and other creatures in the Underdark, like the mindflayers.
Oh, what if you put them in the Grell in a cage that you couldn't levitate in, so they're just like sitting there, like they can't really do anything? It's like raising veal.
Well, it does have a.
No. What you could do, what you would do is you would make the cage just big enough for its big brain body and beak, and the tentacles would just kind of like hang out of it.
Yeah.
And you just have these cages like suspended from the ceiling.
Man, now I'm starting to feel bad for the Grell. Yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit of an anti-magic thing going on with the cages.
Yeah.
So they get shut down. They can't fly. They can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do technically have the ability to walk 10 feet, as a speed. So they can actually get on their tentacles if need be.
Yeah, but they can't walk.
But not if you're in a cage suspended from the ceiling.
Yeah, that's true.
And so basically it becomes these big brain boxes.
Yeah.
What about using that as almost like a hazard or trapped area, where your players, like, they're not really trying to interact with the Grell, but they have to get through, and all these tentacles are hanging from the brain boxes.
It's a trap, a paralytic attack just coming down. So
yeah.
And if you get paralyzed, the Grell might try to pull you up and eat you.
Yeah.
Well, true. Yeah, especially if it's stuck in a brain box.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure they're fed, but there's tasty food just going through.
Well, maybe they're not fed.
I'm almost imagining like a car wash or just like a bunch of vines,
oh, yeah.
like tendrils, like
yeah.
just
That is the worst car wash ever.
Yeah, I'm never coming back to this place again. My wagon's just dirtier than it was before I came in.
And I'm all paralyzed.
And I'm paralyzed.
Son of a bitch.
And being eaten by Grell.
Never fun.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of the Grell City though, and or even that, like a secret coven, of Grell that are kind of like stashed away from, a city or a settlement. Do they have an agenda beyond just hunting and slaves?
You could totally have, like, you'd have to modify them to give them the ability to speak anything beyond Grell, or have the players have to deal with finding a way to communicate. But what if Grell actually try to hire the players to take down an illithid that's actually
Eating them?
hunting their coven? What if there's not like a city, but like a conclave? There's like maybe a couple dozen of them that have been on the run from a group of illithids, or an illithid.
Or like what would be a nice little like foreshadowing is, like, you have this Grell infestation, and maybe the players like kind of delve into, well, they deal with the problem, but then they kind of like delve into it and realize, like, through research or something, that Grell don't normally congregate together.
Right.
It's more of a rare occurrence, and the reason they're congregating is because they're all kind of being driven from the Underdark, from the illithid that keep eating them.
Right, they're being kind of herded away because of predators.
Yeah, pretty much. So then, like, so then the players are going to have the real problem to deal with later, which is going to be the illithids.
No, but I would have, like, as part of the the conversation, like, even though they're intelligent, like, you'd have to deal with their classifications. So you'd have, at least in your initial conversation, like, the Grell's, it's like, referring to the people as food, and it's like, as far as they're concerned, all right, you're food, and the great eaters are trying to get us, so you have to try and get information. You deal with the situation.
I like the possibilities for the RP situation between the Grell hiring the players,
but referring to them as food.
Referring to them as food, edibles. Maybe they just call them edibles,
right?
And saying that we're going to pay you to go take care of the great eaters.
Yeah, and maybe we'll eat afterwards.
Please.
Absolutely, they're going to backstab them.
Yeah.
Please, edibles. I can't deal with this on my own. And the players be like, "What did you just call us?"
There you go. Edibles, of course.
Edible arrangements,
Yeah.
like you go like this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so you have the party, the arrangement. It's really pretty and tasty.
Pretty tasty, especially the halfling.
I just love taking monsters and forcing an RP situation into the plot. I just think it's
or even like the lone Grell that is running like the thieves guild in a city. Like, it's always fun to take like some kind of weird monster and make it like the leader of the thieves guild, and like no one really knows.
No one suspects the Grell.
No one suspects the Grell. No one really knows that it's the Grell that's behind it, Or maybe there's this prestigious college of mages, and you have a Grell that's actually a caster, and it runs the school. Either behind the scenes or even out in the open if you wanted to do something really different.
right.
Because there's no reason why, even though I believe they're chaotic evil, but there's no reason why you can't make one
At least neutrally aligned, maybe.
Yeah, or a different alignment, and basically, I don't know. This one's a vegetarian for some reason. He's seen the light.
Neutral evil.
So
This one eats tofu. Yeah.
Yeah, this one So you can change up. You can change up and break the meta for the game and use the monsters in different ways. Is another solution.
Our intrepid rogue climbed up the shaft to secure a rope. There was a gasp, and the rope fell. We never saw her again.
It happens. Grell happens.
Grell happens.
So, what do you guys think? Do you have any interesting things that you use Grell for or have used them with? Go ahead and put that in the comments below. While you're doing that, feel free to click like, subscribe, even share.
Hang out with us over on Facebook.
You can check us out at nerdarchy.com.
Until next time,
Stay nerdy.